Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Ato Eyob Berhane. I'm a civil engineer and working in the water sector mostly. Today we present the paper in two parts. The first part I present, and then the next one, Engineer Yilma will present it. I'll be so precise and up to the point, and I'll give most of the time to Yilma, my colleague. So I will start from So Ethiopia is endowed with substantial amount of surface and groundwater. Presently, it is facing acute shortage of food, water supply for industry and consumptive use. This is mainly due to lack of attention to harness the country's surface and groundwater potential by the government. ይሄ ምንድነው? ያው ኢንተርኔት የአማርኛና እንግሊዝኛ ብያለሁ። ብዙ የሚሰሩ ስራዎች አሉ በውሃ ቀጥለን የምናያቸው ቅድምም ሚኒስትሩ ጠቅሰውታል። ኢሪጌብል የሆነው ኤሪያ ወደ 1.2 እስከ 1.4 ሚሊዮን ሄክታር ደርሷል። ትክክል ነው፣ ግን ያ ከፉድ ሴኪሪቲ ጋር ምንም ግንኙነት የለውም። ኤክስፖርት ከሚደረግ እንደ ስኳር አይነት ሰፋፊ እርሻዎች ናቸው የያዙት። ስቲል ያለው የላርጅ ስኬል የምንላቸው እንትኖች ከኢምፔሪያል ኤሪያ ጀምሮ የተሰሩ ያሉትን ነው። ሂስቶሪካሊ ሞደርን ዋተር ሪሶርስ ዴቨሎፕመንት for water supply, hydropower, irrigated agriculture is not new to Ethiopia. Among others, during the imperial era, large-scale irrigation projects such as Onji, Matahara, and Amibara have been implemented and were benchmarks to encourage the government to start additional large-scale projects like Ato Eyob Berhane, Malkawakan Hydroelectric Dam, Gode irrigation project, and subsequently we are witnessing the aggressive action of the current government in developing huge irrigation projects like Tandaho, Kasam, Kuras, and Om. Mind you, once again, these are not for food security purposes, just for sugar production and for sugar industries. Parallel with these hydropower projects like Takaze, Zagilgil Gibes, as well as cascade of hydropower dams along the Ghana River and the Grand Renaissance Dam on Abba River are under construction. Ever since the drought of 1970s, the government has been striving to harness the water resource potential of the nation. To date, the major river basins of the country have been studied at a master plan level, each of them. Also, at snail speed, the nation has started to utilize the important and significant resource for the well-being of its people, particularly for water supply and irrigation. That's why I said at snail speed, not for security, for industrial purposes and for cash crops like the huge Tandaho and other sugar projects. Despite having great water resource potential in many parts of the nation, acute shortage of water is observed, be it for domestic consumption, irrigation, and other uses. This situation is worse in arid areas like the Ogaden, Afar, and other dry basins. So in the coming 40 years, the major challenge will be most of the country at present is rural with township structure. From what we are witnessing, in the coming 40 years, built-up areas and towns will grow tremendously. Whatever new development strategies are implemented, traditional agriculture alone cannot solve existing demographic problems. I'll say it again. Whatever new rural development strategies are implemented, traditional agriculture alone cannot solve existing demographic problems. With this regard, what's at stake in the coming 40 years is the presence of good professionals at all levels and having reliable data at their disposal. Implementation of water resource projects depends on financial and managerial potentials in regional and federal levels. If this does not exist, no project can be properly planned, executed, and operated. Sustainable development is based on human potential, and human potential can only be mobilized through proper training and information. It is here where the nation's education system should be geared towards the need of this industry. So I'll come back to the study of the basic ingredient for the resource development is at hand. Each master plan, each river basin is studied at a master plan level. In the morning we have seen that, I have seen the Ministry of Water Resource, Nexus Milihona, into model, Kasatum, and Machin in Sasaradan. What I expect was the integrated master plan and a mathematical model which optimizing ወደ ጀኔም ሲደመጣ ኢንተርቤንሲቭ ዳይቨርዥኖች አሁን እዚህ ሀገር የታስበዋል። ፎር ኢንስታንስ ኢንቴግሬትድ የሆነ ማስተር ፕላን ቢኖረ የሁሉም ቤዝኖች እንትን ብሎ ከዚህ በፊት እነ አቶ ተስፋዬ ግዛት ትናንት ጥናት አለ። ወይብ ወንዝና ዋክሸሌ ወንዝ ፓራል ነው የሚሄዱት። በተለይ ጊኒር ላይ 30 ኪሎ ሜትር ዲስታንስ ነው የሚሄዱት። ወይብ ዳውንስትሪም አፈሩ ለኢሪጌሽን በጣም አስቸጋሪ ነው። ሶይል አሚሊዮሬሽን ሪኳየርመንቱ በጣም ኤክስፔንሲቭ ነው። ዋብሸበሌ ደግሞ ሰፊ ለም የሆነ መሬት ያለው ዳውንስትሪም። ስለዚህ አንዱ ፕሮፖዛል ነበር፣ ያው የህንዱ ታሪክ እንደሰማ ነው። ልክ እዛ ጊኒር ላይ ወይብን ወደ ዋብሸበሌ ዳይቨርት ማድረግ ጊኒር ላይ አትሃይ ላንድ ያለው ዳይቨርት ስናደርገው ትልቅ ዲፍረንስ አለ። ሃይድሮፓወር ጀነሬት ማድረግ ይችላል። የዋሽንግተን የውሃ አቅም ይጨምርና ዳውንስትሪም ያለው ደግሞ ፈርታይል የሆነ መሬት ሊለማ ይችላል ማለት ነው። እንደዚህ አይነት ኢንቴግሬትድ የሆኑ ማስተር ፕላኖች መሰራት አለባቸው። አሁን የአት ፕሪሊሚናሪ ሌቭል የተሰራ ኢንቴግሬትድ የሆነ ናሽናል ወተር ሪሶርስ ማስተር ፕላን አለ። ያንን ግን ቤዝድ ኦን ኤግዚስቲንግ ያለቁትን ማስተር ፕላኖች ግን ያንን ፋይናላይዝ ማድረግ ወተር አሎኬሽኑ አት ዘ ሴም ታይም አብሮ ይሰራል ማለት ነው። ይሄ ወደዚህ ብዙ አለው፣ ይሄኛው ጥሩ መሬት አለው የተባለ ወደ ዳይቨርሽኑ ወደ ናቪጌሽኑ ወደ ምን የሚካሄዱበት አካሄድ ማለት ነው። ከዚህ በተረፈ ሰዓታችን እሺ ቶታል ኤሪያ የኢትዮጵያ ጠቅላላ ኤሪያ በ10 ዌት ቤዝኖች ነው ትሬንድ የሚሆነው። 10 የታወቁ ናቸው እና አባይ፣ ዋክሸሌ፣ ተከዜ፣ ኦሞ ኤክሴትራ ኤክሴትራ። ከዚህ ውጭ 3 ድራይ ቤዝኖች አሉ። ምንም ራኖፍ የሌላቸው ወይም ደግሞ በጣም ሚኒመም የሆነ ራኖፍ ያላቸው ኦጋዴን፣ ደናክልና አይሻ ናቸው። እዚህኛው ቴብል ላይ ቤዝን ዋይዝ ድሬኔጅ ኤሪያ እና ግሮስ ፍሎ የሚያሳይ ቻርት 75% ዲፔንደንት። አሁን የምናወራው ነገር ምን ቲዮሬቲካል አለ። ይሄ የተጻፈ የተጠናና በየላይብረሪው ያለ ዶክመንት ኢንፎርሜሽን ነው። በአጠቃላይ የኢትዮጵያ የወተር ሪሶርስ ፖቴንሻል ወደ አባቃ ሰፖዝ ወተር ፍሎ ማክሲመም ደግሞ 111 ቢሊዮን ሜትር ኪዩብ ፐር ይር ነው። ከዚህ ውስጥ ዲፔንደንት 75% ዲፔንደንት ፍሎ ለማንኛውም ለመጠጥ ውሃም ቢሆን ለኢሪጌሽን የምንጠቀምበት የምንችል 96.55 ቢሊዮን ሜትር ኪዩብ አለ ማለት ነው። ይሄንን ፖቴንሻል አለን ካለን የሚቀጥለው ቴብል ሃይድሮፓወሩን የሚያሳይ ነው። ሃይድሮፓወር እና ኢሪጌሽን ኤሪያዎች ያው ተብሎ ያለቀለት ነው። ጠዋቱን አሁንም ሲባል የነበረ ነው። ቀጥታ ወደ ላንድ ሪሶርሱ ገባለን። ውሃን ያለው ላንድ ማውራት ስለማይቻል ማለት ነው። about 13.5% area of the country is highly to moderately suitable for irrigation agriculture. This works out to be 17 million hectare. ሌላ 38 million hectare marginally suitable ነው. However, the availability of water at the right place and location restricts the irrigable area to about 3.7 million hectare as identified to date ማለት በተሰሩት ናቸው። The presently cultivated area of the country, mostly rain-fed, is about 21.3%, which is 26.5 million hectares. The total loss of topsoil በኢሮዥን እና በሌላ የምናጥራው ወደ 3 ቢሊዮን ቶን አፈር ቶፕ ሶይል ፈርታይል የሆነው ኒውትሪየንት የያዘው አፈር የምናጣው ማለት ነው። which means 2 millimeters of የኢትዮጵያ ስኪል ኤሪያው በየአመቱ ቶፕ ሶይል ያጣል ማለት ነው። The nutrient value of this soil loss is equivalent to 150,000 ton fertilizers every year, which is 1.5 times more than what we are importing ማለት ነው። ቶፕ ሶይል በማጣት ብቻ at the same time 3 billion ton አፈር በማጣታችን ደግሞ equivalent የሆነ equivalent በክሮፕ ዋይዝ ብናየው ዊት ወደ 272,720 ሄክታር ወደ 393 ሚሊዮን ብር ፐር ይር። ይሄ በሚድ 90s ያለ ኤክስቼንጅ ሬት የተሰራ ነው። ኮተን እንደዚሁ 397 ሚሊዮን ብር፣ ሹገር 1 ቢሊዮን 33 ሺህ ብር በ1995 ኤክስቼንጅ ሬት የተሰላ ይሄን ያህል ሉዝ እናደርጋለን። ስለዚህ አሁን ይሄንን አስመልክቶ ፕሬዘንት ፊውቸር ቻሌንጅ ኦፍ ወተር ሪሶርስ ሴክተር እና ሌሎች ተጓዳኝ እንትኖች ኮንክሉዥን እና ሪኮሜንዴሽኖችን ደግሞ ኢንጂነር የማያስረዳናል።
Chairman, dear conference participants, I would like to thank you. I would like to thank Professor Samuel for offering us such a noble opportunity. In fact, he has been working hard for the last 2 years from his base town, San Diego. And I was a bit pessimistic when he suggested that 2050 because of the situations on the ground. And I didn't really, we were a bit unsure of the country's destination due to so many ethnic stripes, and I think everybody knows this. Anyway, I appreciate his initiation for this project, and let's be optimistic, as our Prime Minister said, Ethiopia will even expand. Of course, we are afraid we might lose some, but I don't think that will happen. And according to IGAD, we should not even concentrate only on Ethiopia, because Ethiopia's problem is not, only Ethiopia's. So Ethiopia 2050 has to be seen in that dimension. Anyway, as my friend has already covered the surface water potential of Ethiopia and the related matters, I would like to touch on the water supply. Okay, as to my background, I graduated in civil engineering with Professor Sami in India in 1984. That is around 35 years back. Sami has also been my childhood friend in Asosa town when we were just a kid. And it was no coincidence that we went also to India, as some say, but of the same visa flocked together. Anyway, since then I have been working in water-related matters for the last 35 years, both in the design and implementation aspects. Okay, as stated above, Ethiopia has about 122 billion cubic meters of surface water and about 5 to 60 billion cubic meters of groundwater potential. Out of this 122 billion of surface water, and then 5 to 6 billion. Less than 5% of the available water resource potential is utilized, out of which around 10% is utilized for domestic consumption purposes. So Ethiopia is not a poor country, or should not worry about its water potential. Utilization is a problem, because Ethiopia is the said water tower of Africa, isn't it? I remember when I was in 5th grade, Ethiopia's population was 25 million, 25. Now it is around 98, or perhaps around 100. So population pressure definitely affects the water utilization. By 2050, about 650 cubic meters of water would be available for Ethiopia per capita per annum. Per capita means individual consumption in one. The existing capital per capita availability of water resources about 1,250 cubic meters per annum. You can imagine. That means after 30 years, around 600 cubic meters of water will be, we'll use more. Okay. Still, considerable portion of the peoples of Ethiopia do not have access to safe and potable water. That's a hard fact. I mean, there are so many figures. Government figures also have their own figures, and NGOs and private also have their own figures. The government figure is always on the general side because of, as you know, they get funded, and it's always on the higher side. I think if you ask the government, so you refer to the government's figure, it's about 80 to 90%, they say. And NGOs keep it as maybe 30 to 40% so far. And I don't trust those figures because I have been there. Even I have now water supply projects in a remote part of Ethiopia. And well, water is still a precious commodity, not only in the rural, even in our district, as you see. I think we are suffering water ration, isn't it? I myself, I bought 5 cubic meters of water for 1,000 just last week. For 3 weeks, we didn't have water in Makanisa area. It's not very far. So the problem is far, far, far complex. We have to sit down and plan. Not only for 2050, still we have to show the roadmap to the government, who is being probably busy in security or trying to keep the territorial integrity of Ethiopia. We are the one. Huh? Okay, sorry. Okay. Regarding the access to modern improved sanitation system also, I think over 90% of Ethiopians still do not enjoy access to improved sanitation system. Okay. The objective of the WASH program is to provide 15 liters per capita per day within 1.5 kilometers walking distance for rural population and 20 liters of water per capita per day within 0.5 kilometers walking distance for the urban population. That's the objective. And still, there are many women who walk more than 6 kilometers in rural Ethiopia. You don't have to go far. You can just travel 30, 40 kilometers and you'll see. Most of them depend still on perennial, ephemeral rivers, which dry out, often. Okay. So, what are the existing problems? Existing water supply problems or water problems are mainly in quantity, quality, and operation and maintenance of sustainability. Quantity, as you say, as I told you now, most deep wells, for example, have a trap drawdown. They don't sustain throughout the year. They just, the water table falls down. That's due to lack of adequate rain. Because groundwater is surface water, isn't it? Surface water recharges groundwater. So, lack of adequate rain definitely affects the groundwater. That's the quantity. Quality-wise, such adequate research has not been done. But some figures, the disease-causing pathogenic bacteria are prevalent in most of our water supply wells. How? Yeah, due to so many factors. And also handling system of the water. And then operation and maintenance. Operation and maintenance, that's the most important part of the problem. Most of our wells are not operational. If you go to the village areas or even in Addis, most of our sewer system, our water supply pipes are not functional. You know why? Because of lack of adequate financial and skilled manpower support to the O&M, operation maintenance team. So, what do we recommend for 2050? For 2050, in order to cope up with this problem, there are so many recommendations we can come up with. One, in order the pipes and fittings and pumps, fittings and generators still we import from India or China. And there are very few limited factories that produce pipes and fittings. And even if you go and monitor the quality, it's very poor quality. Even the Indian pipes that are now laid in the cities and villages, they are very low quality. Pipes have got their own strengths. So we have to have our own manufacturing companies. We can't afford buying it from abroad. So even if is a gate valve or any water bit is broken, the water stops for a week or 2 weeks in the village areas, because I've been there monitoring my projects. When they come here, they buy a very cheaper one, Chinese one, as you know, and then it doesn't sustain or even for 1 week. Again, intermittent water will be stored. So in order to get rid of this, the government has to give due emphasis on manufacturing of water supply pipes and fittings and pumps and generators here in Ethiopia. And also for the rural, this is what we suggest is to provide the solar system and the solar panel to replace the pumps and generators that work often. So we are suggesting these solar panels or solar power to power the pumps. If you still depend on a diesel generator, it breaks frequently, and also it's not environmental friendly. So we are suggest to switch to this solar type of pumps in the future. So the government needs to galvanize and equip these operation and maintenance units. So enough fund is required. By 2050, if the present Ethiopia's territorial is maintained as it is, provided that money, the government needs to even plan closely with the regions, for example. That issue has not been addressed now. I think all our plans are only as if Ethiopia is centrally governed. No, even the regions have got their own share. Of course, it looks as if every region has got its own mandate. So we can't plan, for example, if for Addis Ababa water, the Parsa and Lagaladi are providing water. So the same thing that has been during the dirt, this again is going to rely on the future on these two dams. But we need more. For that we have to negotiate with the regions. Addis Ababa has to negotiate with Oromia. Maybe Oromia also has to negotiate with Somalia, something like that. I think the government has to sit down with these regions and root out these problems. Otherwise, if every region acts like it wants to manage its own resource, all that we're talking will remain on paper. I can assure you that. Because the government has to do something about it. So maybe coming years we are expecting the government to unite, to create some sort of unity so that we can plan together. Finally, I would like to, as I told you, water problem is not a simple issue. It's a multi-dimensional aspect. You know, it involves the cooperation of the government, the rural community, the urban community, and all. And so it has affected almost everybody of us, every one of us. ሁሉም ሰው የሚያውቁት ይመስለኛል። በአሁኑ ሰዓት የውሃ ችግር በአዲስ አበባ ብቻ ተወስኖ ያለ አይደለም። ከዚህ በፊት በገጠር በተለያየ ነገር ነበር። አንድ ጀሪካን እስከ 20 ብር ነው የሚገዛው፣ 30 ብር አንድ ሆቴል ስገባ 30 ብር ከጨመርክ አንድ ጀሪካን አመጣልሃለሁ ይባላል። ግን በሪፖርት የሚባለው 80-90% we have covered ነው የሚባለው። ሪያሊቲውን ፌስ ማድረግ አለብን። within among the regions ያለውን ነገር በሴንትራል ገቨርንመንት መካከል ያለው ኮምፕሊትሊ ቁጭ ብሎ ዴታ ክትትል መደረግ አለበት ማለት ነው። we have to come and plan together. Okay, thank you.
I gave them a little more time because although it's the same paper, there were two of them presenting. So the next part is a panel discussion. I invite the moderator, Engineer Dejene, with your group. And I would like the audience to give a big applause for all the speakers. As I leave the floor, it's okay to give me a hand too.
Is Dr. Solomon around? Dr. Solomon? Please go. It's not going to be a long discussion. If there is any burning issue, I'll give two to the floor, and then, okay. I see two hands, and I've already decided whom to pick, Dr. Uba and the Tofi. But the first question I reserve to myself. Professor, let me ask a question. You talked about the Green Revolution and lesson from India. But in the past, there was an attempt in Ethiopia called the Green Revolution. And what were the success and the failure? What more to learn from India? Thank you.
Well, we need lots of time to really discuss the issue of the Green Revolution. And we have tried some version of Green Revolution in Ethiopia, but with not as much significant success as India and many other maybe Southeastern Asian countries. We've tried it. But the point I was trying to make really emulate the Indian experience is that there are many details of the Green Revolution, all the processes which one has to go through to really implement Green Revolution at the national level. It really takes the participation of really policymakers at the highest level, maybe at the level of the Prime Minister, really takes commitment, and technical people at the level of maybe researchers at all levels. So there are many elements of the Green Revolution to really implement it in the Ethiopian context and really reap its fruits. But it has lots of potentials, and the point I was trying to make is that the Green Revolution has proved very successful in many other countries, and all the elements of the Green Revolution in the Ethiopian context are available in the country. It just takes the policy implementation to really pull all of these things together. Thank you.
Thank you, Papa. I give you a chance and then Dr. Ubala.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me this chance. In fact, it's very interesting. As a water supply person, I would like to present my point of view to